Welcome to Baby Boomer Tales. My name's Jim. You can find us at our webpage, babyboomertales.com. Once you've landed on our webpage, there are links to many places you can listen to our podcast, including Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and more. You can also find our Facebook page, a link to that on our webpage, and our Boomers General Store. When I was a little kid, say up to 12 years old, my parents had a record player in our house, and it was a piece of furniture. Remember how everything was a piece of furniture back then? Well, our record player was this blonde piece of furniture. Sat on four kind of gold-looking legs. And my folks had several albums, but the one album my brothers and I would play was Day-O, Day-O. Remember that by Harry Belafonte? Daylight coming, me wanna go home. We loved that song. We'd kind of dance around. Probably my little sister, she had to be a toddler or something. When I was 8 or 9, she's about 8 years younger than me. Well, all of a sudden, I turned 14, and several things happened in my life once I turned 14. Probably the most life-changing thing that happened to me was I discovered girls in a whole different way, if you know what I mean. All of a sudden they became this magical, mythical, mysterious creature, not just some girl that might kick you in the shins if she didn't like you, or if she liked you maybe. The second thing is I discovered music. Not Day-O, which I still love that song, I do. But I went down to the drugstore and I bought a 45. Remember the 45s? A smaller record with a big hole in the middle. You had to put this adapter on your record player or clip it in that hole so it'd play on the record player. But I bought Surf City by Jan and Dean. They had a line in that song, 2 girls for every boy. And I loved that song. I played it all the time. And I wanted to be cool enough that maybe the girls would notice me. Now, I know they noticed me because I had friends that were girls. It was the strangest thing for a 14-year-old boy. At least it was strange for me. I didn't know how to handle it. But I started trying to be cool. And then the Beatles came. I went down to the drugstore again and bought I Want to Hold Your Hand. And I watched them on Ed Sullivan and how all the girls would scream for Paul and John and George and Ringo. I couldn't believe it. They were so cool. Music, all of a sudden, was cool. And so from then until probably this morning when I woke up, my pursuit of coolness maybe doesn't center around music, but music is definitely involved. At 16, I would be driving down Main Street, cruising up and down Main Street, maybe with a friend or two in the car, sometimes with a girl in the car, listening to the AM radio. In the daytime, I'd listen to KIMN in Denver. At night, though, we'd cruise around town, listen to KOMA out of Oklahoma City. And we'd hear things like California Dreamin', I've Been for a Walk on a Winter's Day. How cool is that? Or Percy Sledge, When a Man Loves a Woman, deep down in his soul, she can bring him such misery. Ah, that was so cool, those lyrics. In 1967, I was a senior in high school, and I'd still cruise around listening to AM radio. I'd have that AM radio on wherever I could, in my house, in my room, in my car. And I'd listen to things like Groovin' by the Young Rascals, or Never My Love by the Association, Remember that? You ask me if there'll come a time when I grow tired of you. They were so cool. But then I graduated from high school in the spring of 1968. There were things like Hey Jude by the Beatles on, or Sitting on the Dock of the Bay by Otis Redding. And I did my best to be cool. I had Beatle bangs. My clothes were definitely, I thought, an extension or an expression of my being cool. But then I left home on my biggest adventure, and my music changed. All of a sudden, I wasn't listening to AM radio anymore. It was FM radio or albums instead of 45s. I liked the White Album by the Beatles, Rocky Raccoon, or Surrealistic Pillow by the Jefferson Airplane, Somebody to Love, or music from Big Pink, Long Black Veil. That was wonderful and great, and my level of coolness, I do believe, rose a step or two. But then for a couple years, darkness overtook me. That included my music, and my desire to be cool somewhere vanished, and it was a hard couple of years. But I did live through it, somehow, by the grace of God. And I woke to a new light, and I could breathe the air again. And I could look at a fetching young lady and smile. And I would listen to the Moody Blues, or to the Eagles, or to Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, or Joni Mitchell, or the Marshall Tucker Band. And they were so cool, and I was starting to get my swagger back. And I thought I was very, very cool. I did. I thought I was cool. But more than thinking that I was cool, I was happy I was marching to my own drum. That shows how crazy I really was, I do believe. So I went this way for several years, and it was good. The music was like no other, and it'll never be the same. I think the early 70s is my favorite year of music. I really do. But towards the end of that decade, disco showed up, and it drove me away from most modern type of music. I kind of gravitated towards contemporary Christian music and country music. So I loved Amy Grant, Michael W. Smith, Jeff Moore in the Distance, Rich Mullins, and I was discovering country artists. You see, I was country when country wasn't cool. I was into that for a very long time, and it is still part of my life. Contemporary Christian music, country music, oldies, 60s type music, the Eagles and that bunch. And once in a while, there's a new modern song that catches my attention. Not very often at all. I do believe music's very cool. I've made 5 episodes of my 29 favorite music songs. I'm working on my 6th right now, and I should have it done possibly before the end of the year. After 5 episodes of that, 29 times 5, what's that, 145? I do have 2 favorite songwriters of all times, Bob Dylan and John Prine. They are prolific in their trade. Prine's gone now, and I've seen where Dylan says he just doesn't write music anymore. But some of these songs are just so cool. If it's rock and roll, or folk music, or praise and worship, or bluegrass, it doesn't matter to me. If it gets in my soul and I love it, well, I love it a lot then. Things like Joe Cocker singing You Are So Beautiful, or Judy Collins singing Someday Soon, or Lauren Allred singing Never Enough from that movie The Greatest Showman, or Will the Circle Be Unbroken by so many different artists, but my favorites by the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, Petula Clark singing Downtown, or Richie Havens at Woodstock playing Here Comes the Sun, Tanya Tucker singing Strong Enough to Bend, or America singing Ventura Highway, Taking It Easy by the Eagles, or Gentle on My Mind with old Glenn Campbell, or Do You Believe in Magic by the Lovin' Spoonful. At the time that was released, I thought that was the coolest song in the world. Or Cornerstone by Toby Mac and Zach Williams, or Whitney Houston singing I Will Always Love You. It doesn't matter who the artist, or sometimes really what even their lifestyle is. Same way with actors. Some of my favorite actors are not my favorite people by any stretch of the imagination, but they've been anointed to do something or sing something that will stay with you for the rest of your life. I think that's why I like praise and worship music so much, because it is really food for my soul, food and nourishment, and yes, coolness that God gave me. So I no longer try to be cool or strive to even want that to be part of my life. I know who I am. I know how blessed I've been. And I know that music, how it can touch your very soul, and how good it really, really is. And I'm not naive enough to not realize that music can do just the opposite to a person. If the intent is to whack you out, make you crazy, it's like anything in life. You have to be careful. What you eat is what you become, right? What you read, what you watch, who you associate with, all of that can mold you. So be careful where you're being molded. Careful what you listen to. Careful who you befriend. Careful what you watch, what you put your eyes on, and careful of your thoughts. We were created to be something special. Don't let some of the stuff in the world drag you away from that. Well, I think that's about all I have today. I just wanted to kind of express myself about the music in my life. There's a song called Hey Grandpa. It's from a family band down in Branson, Missouri called the Petersons. And Katie Peterson sings about her grandpa. You can tell by the song that Grandpa's dead and gone, and yet she's talking with him, telling him about this boy she knows. You can tell she's becoming serious with him, how she thanks him for teaching her how to play the violin and having that old barn and home and out in the country. Maybe you ought to YouTube that, see what I'm talking about. I think she really honored Grandpa, I do. Well, thank you for riding along today. I'll be back next Wednesday. Always strive to be kind. It's the high road in life. It really is. Peace out.